at scale if he empowered franchisees through structured systems. In this episode, we focus on how you can develop scalable systems in your own business and life that empower your team and customers and eventually family and friends to succeed. Here's a quote from Ray Kroc. The key to success is being in the right place at the right time, recognizing that you are there and taking action. If that resonates with you, then think about how you can apply that right now in your life today. Welcome back, my brilliant listeners, to another episode of the Brilliant Professor-ish podcast, where we talk about life unscripted on so many different levels. I'm your host, Dr. V, your brilliant solutionist and college professor turned life professor-ish. Remember, if you like this vibe, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, share, and leave your comments and thoughts below. We love hearing from our amazing community of viewers and listeners. Let's ignite the conversation and inspire each other to join the movement of helping brilliant people bankrupt 1 billion burial plots by moving from resume to reinvention to remarkable, so they can live a life poured out above ground before all that brilliance goes underground. So be sure to check out the corresponding blog post for the show notes and highlights. That information will be in the description box below. Today we're kicking off an extraordinary series that ties into our Opulent Thinking for Opulent Opportunities theme that will empower and inspire you to unlock your true desires, reach new heights of success, fulfillment, and purpose. So let's get into it. What is empowerment? That word gets thrown around a lot. And the definition I found was that empowerment is a degree of autonomy and self-determination in people and in communities. This enables them to represent their ideas, their interests in a responsible and self-determined way, acting on their own authority. It is the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. Empowerment as action refers both to the process of self-empowerment and to the professional support of people, which enables them to overcome their sense of powerlessness and lack of influence, and to recognize and use their own resources. Yes, I know that was a mouthful, but I thought it was important for you to understand what empowerment actually means. So what is empowering others through systems? We're going to talk about Ray Kroc's approach with his leadership, mindset, and personal mastery. So first, leadership. Ray Kroc's real genius lay in creating a system that empowered others to be successful. He developed a franchise model that allowed entrepreneurs to run their own business under the McDonald's brand, giving them tools, guidelines, and the freedom to grow within a structured framework. He was a leader who understood the importance of creating an ecosystem that supported the success of others. This ability to empower others was underpinned by a growth mindset. Ray Kroc believed that scaling could only happen if the right systems were in place, allowing individuals to replicate success across different locations. He wasn't just focused on his own growth, but also on the success of the entire network of franchisees. His creation of a system that worked for others while also maintaining control over critical aspects and the brand shows a mastery of balance between autonomy and centralization. And that was a great example of personal mastery. So I have a question for you. How have you empowered yourself to follow the systems of success? Now let's take a deeper dive into Ray Kroc's system of empowerment. Ray Kroc didn't just build a system, he built a machine. He empowered his franchisees by giving them the tools and systems to succeed. Most people who start or aspire to start their own businesses often lead with, quote, I want to be my own boss and do things my own way, end quote. But regardless of the type of business, there's a certain system to follow. You also need to have systems or ways of doing things that will become assets in your business, so you're not just being a coach or just another consultant. There are a lot of people who are getting paid but don't have the tools or systems needed to call themselves a business. I know this for sure because this was me when I was just getting started. I've now empowered myself to learn about real business and to see it as an asset that's technically apart from me. So we're going to talk about the franchise model as a way of empowerment. The brilliance of Ray Kroc's model was that it allowed others to run successful franchisees or successful businesses under the McDonald's brand while following his systems. Systems create freedom for business owners and it empowers teams. The same is true for you no matter the size of your business, and this can also be applied to your life and career. Another popular thing that aspiring and current entrepreneurs say is that they want freedom. However, they are using that phrase incorrectly, and again, that was me too. If you live in the United States or similar countries, you are technically free, so you don't need a business to be free. Also, freedom isn't sitting around doing nothing or only doing things on your schedule. I hear this a lot in the advice industry that you can build a business by teaching people what you know just 2 to 4 hours a week. Now, that's only on the front end that you see, and many of them won't tell you about all the hours they put into building systems that allow for that type of flexibility, or they won't tell you that they've paid someone to do all of that back end work. When you hear quote unquote systems create freedom or quote unquote freedom in business, it generally refers to the ability of an entrepreneur or business owner to operate their company with minimal external constraints, allowing them to make decisions, set their own direction, and pursue their goals without excessive regulations or restrictions, essentially having the autonomy to run their business on their own terms, including the freedom or the liberty to fail or succeed based on their choices. So I like that definition of freedom in business. Having your own business is still work, and this is why you see so many people going back to their jobs. Now, there's no judgment, and that may be the right thing for some of you to do right now, but I do believe if you shift your perspective about quote unquote freedom in business, you won't fantasize entrepreneurship or business ownership. Now, on the other hand, you also have to think about what you would do with more time available. Yeah, what would you do with the other 166 to 164 hours in a week? I heard a lot of people going back to work because they are bored or lonely as entrepreneurs. This is why you need to cultivate the other areas of your life and have a full life as an entrepreneur or business owner, just like you may have had when you were working in your career. Now we're going to talk about empowering through consistency. Systems create consistency, and consistency builds trust. A business that delivers a predictable and reliable experience empowers customers and employees alike. I understood the power of being consistent when I was a teacher and a college professor. I had a system in place for lesson plans, grading, and just about everything else I did. Having to prepare substitute teacher plans trained me early. I wanted to make sure that every class received the same academic experience no matter who taught the class. However, I totally disregarded all of that training when I started my entrepreneurial journey. I made everything personal because I was now the product or service. However, I learned from Dan Locke that this isn't true. It doesn't matter if I start a dog walking business, a restaurant, or a training and development company. My focus should be on building assets that ensure that my process leads to predictable and reliable results. This relates to the previous episode where we talked about using data to inform decisions. When you hear about people selling and buying multiple businesses, they aren't talking about the person or group of people. They are talking about the compilation of assets, which are the systems that create consistency. According to Dan Locke, there are about 40 of them, and it is actually fascinating. I know I've said in my personal leadership trainings that we should on ourselves, but I'm breaking that rule right now. When it comes to systems that create consistency and predictable and reliable results, I've been trained to do this as a researcher. That was the whole point of my dissertation. It was to create a framework or process that would deliver the same or similar results. As a professor who has a research line, your main focus is to work on refining your process. I should have understood this about business sooner, and it would have saved me so much time, money, and frustration. But you know what? It's all good. And that's why I'm able to share it with you right now. Many of you are more business savvy than you realize, but the focus has been more about what you can do to make money versus what system you can put in place so that assets can generate the income consistently. Now let's talk about training and support as it relates to empowerment and systems. Ray Kroc didn't just create systems, he also trained his franchisees rigorously. Education and support are forms of empowerment. You can't train or educate people if you don't have your own systems to follow. The good thing about having coaches, mentors, and AI is that you don't have to start from scratch. I invite you to start researching the business assets you need, modify them to fit your business, and actually follow them so you'll be ready for expansion. Here's an example I got from Dan Locke. This is a sales asset, and within that sales asset, there are 4 things that you need to build: a CRM, which is a customer relationship management software, a sales process, a reporting and analytic process, and a follow-up process. Those are all assets. You need all of these and then have a way to train and educate your team on them so they feel empowered to make decisions based on their roles without you. Now, with all of those systems, we need to learn how to delegate through the systems. One of Ray Kroc's greatest insights was the ability to delegate through strong systems. You can empower others in your business by creating systems that allow for smooth delegation. Remember when I said that building systems also relate to life? When you have structure in place, you take out the emotions of delegation and it's easier to track. You've heard me mention Tracy Hensel before when I talk about how she ran her household of 5 kids and a husband like a corporation. She had a system for everything from building a calendar command center to how she tracked chores and even how she takes her vitamins. She's always said that her role as a mother was to phase herself out of a job, so delegation was key. Regardless if you want a business or start a family or not, you as an individual are still a business, and there are things in your life that you can systematize and delegate so you can optimize your life. One example could be having a meal service, a house cleaning service, grocery pickup, etc. So think about how you do one thing is how you do everything. Now, with all this empowerment talk, let's get down to it. It's really about how empowerment leads to scalability. Ultimately, empowering others allowed Ray Kroc to scale. The role of empowerment in scaling in life and business sets you up for exponential growth. But remember, in the previous episode, I talked about that there was a difference between growing and scaling. So here's a quick reminder. Growing has more to do with getting bigger, growing larger in terms of size and scope. Growing an organization means that you're adding new members to the team, and these new members will have a different set of skills from the ones already in place. Scaling has more to do with improving your organization over time with resources you already have available. It's about making sure your organization has enough resources to keep up with the demands for its services. This can include adding more people, but it also involves making changes to your processes, policies, and procedures so that you can continue to provide quality service at an affordable price. So keep in mind that there's a time and place for both, whether that's in your career, business, or any other part of your life. So, as we always do, and we don't just talk about it, we are going to walk it out. So, here are some action steps I want you to focus on. Number one, systematize one process. Take one recurring process in your business, career, or an area of your life and break it down into a step by step system. Delegate it or automate it for scalability. Number two, create a playbook. Develop a playbook for your team or family that outlines best practices and ensures consistency across all operations. And number three, franchise your mindset. Even if you're not franchising, think about how to replicate your business model and products on a larger scale. What do you do that can be standardized? Now, as we wrap up, let me know which step you're going to focus on with a start date and an end date. I trust that you enjoyed this episode, which is part of Mastering the Entrepreneurial Mindset Lessons from Ray Kroc series, where we discuss empowering others through systems, building a scalable life and business. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will discuss flexibility and adaptability, navigating change in business. Remember that while we always want to win in life, we must also focus on how we can develop scalable systems in our own lives and businesses that empower our team and customers or family to succeed. It is my hope that something I said provided value, challenged your thinking, or made you say, Let me know your thoughts in the comments below so we can turn this monologue into a dialogue. And as always, keep living life unscripted, which means stop following the path that others have laid out for you and remember that you are a trailblazer. We need your unique spark to ignite a wildfire of genius that cannot be extinguished. Until next time.